Two data points for you to think about. Prior to the year 2020, e-GMAT, one of the 11 partners, accounted for 20% of all 700 plus scores on GMAT Club. And since the year 2021, e-GMAT, one of the 9 partners, has accounted for 60% of all success reported on GMAT Club. Now, an internal scoop. What did we do since 2020 that has made this impressive improvement possible? We added personalization to our already brilliant core skills focused learning platform. Such personalization channelizes your efforts so that your time is spent on learning content that truly delivers score improvement. Let's see how this personalization makes every hour 2 times more effective over studying with generic study plans. Let's take 2 study buddies, Jack and Jill. They both took marks and scored 640. Yeah, same exact starting score. And they both want to score 730. They're happy that with these same scores, they can study together. They search for GMAT study plans. They're excited to see the options available. These options are well structured, giving them week by week, sometimes even day by day plan of action with lots of free resources included. They start studying with full zest. First week plan includes arithmetic and critical reasoning. While Jack breezes through critical reasoning, Jill faces some issues. Now they don't make much of it, but when a similar thing happens in arithmetic, that is Jill breezes through it but Jack is stuck, they realize something is off. And here's the problem. Jack's 640 is composed of Q40, V36, while Jill's 640 is composed of Q46, V31. So while Jack is much stronger in verbal, Jill is much stronger in quant, explaining why while going through the same content, Jack breezed through CR while Jill faced difficulties in it, and vice versa for arithmetic. In the first week, by following the generic study plan, Jack wasted his time learning content and critical reasoning that he already knew, and Jill wasted her time learning content in arithmetic that she already knew. At the same time, they both struggled to improve in their respective weak areas since they were not given the content that focuses on building their core skills. So, what should Jack and Jill do to increase their chances of success on the GMAT? First of all, they need to establish their target scores in quant and verbal. We're going to take Jill first. There are 15 combinations of quant verbal scores to achieve GMAT score of 730, but not all combinations are optimal. Let's understand this in detail. Here are 3 options for the sake of this discussion. If Jill aims for option 1, then she would need to excel at everything on verbal because V44 is 98th percentile. Starting at a 60th percentile, she will have to first improve on her existing foundation, then learn concepts, and then excel in applying these concepts. Finally, to go from V40 to V44, she would have to build familiarity with an overwhelming majority of challenging constructs. Why? Because remember, V44 is 98th percentile or an almost perfect verbal score. Is it impossible? No. Does it require a lot more effort and a much higher willpower? Absolutely. Now, option 3 is similar to option 1, the difference being that it requires perfection on GMAT quant instead of GMAT verbal. It not only requires similar time commitment but also similarly strong willpower to get there. The best option here for Jill is option 2. Primary reason is not because it's the fastest, although that is important. The primary reason here is that this option has the highest likelihood of success. This option requires Jill to improve both in quant and verbal without requiring her to achieve perfection in either area. Based on our experience, someone like Jill is 3 times as likely to achieve her target score through option 2 than through option 1 or option 3. Think about it. When Jill started her GMAT prep using the generic study plan, did such planning even cross her head? Did she even know that her starting scores in quant and verbal govern her target scores in quant and verbal? And that's what governs what she needs to prepare and what materials she needs to prepare with? This level of personalization has enabled e-GMAT to deliver 8 times as many 700 plus scores. Watch this video if you are curious about it. Let's decide on Jack's destination, that is his quant and verbal scores. We are considering the same 3 options that we considered for Jill. Do you think Jack's optimal target score will be same as Jill's? That is option number 2, Q49V40. Let's see. Option 3, with 245 hours, not only takes the longest but also has the lowest probability of success. Starting at a Q40, which is 35th percentile in quant, Jack will have to be extremely persistent to score Q51 or a perfect score on GMAT quant. He would have to cross multiple chasms, starting from building a solid foundation to learning concepts to learning how to apply those concepts. Post that, he would have to master the application and lastly use analytics to define and then fill any gaps. Option 2, that is Jill's optimal option, on the other hand, while not as demanding in terms of quant improvement as option 3, still requires a significant effort in quant, which clearly, given Jack's starting ability, is not his strength. On the other hand, this option leaves a lot of headroom on verbal, which is Jack's natural strength. Option 1 is the best option for Jack. It not only requires fewest number of hours, it also has the highest probability of success. It leverages Jack's natural strength in verbal, pushing him to maximize verbal score's contribution to his overall score. Since Jack's starting ability in verbal is 80th percentile, his primary task here would be to identify his weakness, learn the few concepts that he needs, and confirm that he has indeed improved. Now think about it for a moment. When Jack started preparing for critical reasoning using the generic study plan, was there any effort done to identify his weak areas so that he could focus on fixing those instead of going through the entire syllabus? Let's look at quant now. Jack would have to start from building a foundation, learn concepts and their corresponding application. The fact that his target score is Q46 or a 56th percentile means that he does not have to achieve perfection. In our experience, Jack is twice as likely to achieve the metrics needed for option 1 than for option 2. Such personalization is not only effective for GMAT preparation arena but also for any challenging task. For example, since the year 1989, similar personalization has quadrupled the chances of successfully climbing the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, increasing the success rate from a mere 15% in 1989 to 60% in the year 2021. Watch this video to learn more. You will be amazed. Coming back to Jack and Jill's GMAT preparation, now both have their optimal target quant and verbal splits. But can they follow the same study plan to reach their scores? Absolutely not. And here's why: their needs are vastly different. While both Jack and Jill need to spend similar number of hours in verbal, what they do in those hours is very different. Given that Jack is at V36, that is 80th percentile, he has solid foundation in each of these areas and likely knows most of the concepts in 2 subsections of verbal. He also knows how to apply those concepts. So he will focus on excelling in the subsections that he's already good in and learn application in that one subsection where he needs more effort. Jill, on the other hand, needs to build a solid foundation in at least one area. She probably needs to learn concepts across all 3 subsections, although the degree may vary. Lastly, she also needs to learn application in all the 3 subsections. And the same thing is applicable for quant as well. Jill has an excellent foundation in quant. Out of the 5 main areas in quant, her journey will first start by identifying which one or 2 aspects of quant she is relatively weak in. She will then study those aspects and fix them, and in the remaining areas, her goal will be to go from good to very good, that is excelling. Jack, on the other hand, probably needs to build a foundation in a few of these 5 areas. Then he needs to learn core concepts and then practice only to the extent that he reaches Q46. Clearly, you can see that even though they spend similar time in quant, that's about 60 hours, where they spend this time is very different. Jill would not gain much from working with Jack's study material, whereas Jack would probably improve little if he studied the same things that Jill studied, since that study material will be beyond his ability level. With this in mind, you can see why personalization has enabled e-GMAT to deliver 8 times as many 700 plus scores, and why many people who use a generic study plan fail to improve beyond 700 plus. When you think of your GMAT preparation, think about how your study material provides you this level of personalization. Write to us if you need any help personalizing your learning journey, or click on this link to schedule a call with one of our strategy experts. Happy learning!